everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm participating in a creative arts collaboration hashtag event called hashtag Refreshing Summertime Art. And I'm also still doing my ATCs for an ATC a day in the month of June. So I decided to combine both of those and make some summer themed summer images on my ATCs, and then also continue to do my daily ATCs for days 20, 21, and 22. So this first one is paper piecing, and these are some scraps from my scrap bin on my desk. And I was thinking about refreshing summer. What's refreshing in the summer when it's hot? You know, I live in Arizona. It's hot. It's really hot. It gets up to 115 Fahrenheit and sometimes even higher than that. So in the summer, I really like to drink lemonade, and I like to eat watermelon, and I like to sit outside by the pool or in the pool while drinking these, and of course sometimes margaritas, but we won't get into that. I decided to make a little table with an umbrella. I have a cute umbrella out in the backyard by the pool because the sun is blazing hot, and you want to try to stay in the shade as much as you can, or in the pool. Make sure to wear your sunscreen. So I created a sky first with a scrap of paper and then a piece of scrapbooking paper. It has kind of like a stripe on it. It seems like a little tablecloth. So I put that across, and then I cut out some stenciled. It was actually a manila tag that had some stenciling on it left over from jelly printing. It wasn't stenciling, it was probably jelly printing actually, but had dots on it. And I thought that would make a cute little umbrella. And then now I'm creating glass. And I started out with some white deli paper that had a little bit of blue paint on it. It looks like like a frosty glass. And then I cut the yellow, light yellow paper to go so that it fit on the inside of it, giving it a border so it looks as if it's a glass with lemonade in it. Then I made a stripy straw out of a piece of striped scrapbook paper, and also a little lemon to sit on the side of the glass, showing that it's lemonade. And then, of course, in the summer, you just got to have watermelon. It doesn't matter where you are. You got to have watermelon, watermelon juice, watermelon tea, watermelon everything, because it's just so juicy and refreshing and lovely. So I created a slice of watermelon to sit on my table, and I cut the red of the watermelon first, and then I held it over the top of the green paper and cut the green paper around it to give it a green rind like watermelon has. Then now I have my Faber-Castell Pit artist pins, and I'm making, of course, some watermelon seeds. Even in a seedless watermelon, they're still seeds. They just look a little bit different, but then, of course, what I like to do when I'm doing a paper piecing collage is to put some shadow around my stuck-on images. So I'm using my light gray Faber-Castell Pit pen to do that, and then blending with my finger, adding in just some shadows around the edges so that it doesn't just look like stuck-on stuff. It gives it a little bit more dimension and interest to your eye. And then I got an even darker gray and put a little bit more shadows around. Sometimes I like to blend out the light one and then put even a little bit darker one in some areas and blend that to add dimension. And I believe this is my day 20 card. Let me look on the back of it. Yep, this is day 20. So we're getting 10 days from the end. For those of you who are playing along. Then I got out an extra small, very, very fine bullet tip from the illustration pens that I have, also from Faber-Castell. And I'm drawing in just kind of real quick, sketchy, black, fine lines. And then taking my white Posca and adding a little bit of highlight to my orange, and then you know how between the green and the red on a watermelon there's kind of that layer of white? I needed that. And then I drew some ice cubes in my lemonade to show that it's icy cold. So that is day 20, and that's my little homage to being outside by the pool and having some refreshing summertime food and drink. So the next one for day 21, I was thinking about something that I like to do in the summer, which is go camping and, you know, get up into the mountains away from the heat and camp out and eat s'mores and, you know, just see some trees because where I live, there's not a lot of evergreens, but I can drive up into the mountains of northern Arizona, which aren't too far away. It's not really a very long trip, and go camping up where there are evergreens. So that's something that is really nice in the summer when it's super hot down here in the valley. It's a lot cooler up on the mountains. So I started out with my 140-pound watercolor paper and a mechanical pencil with soft graphite in it and a white eraser. And I'm drawing my little camping scene with a tent and a fire and some nice evergreen trees, and it's evening. The moon and stars are out. You can actually see them. And I've got a stick with some marshmallows on it to make s'mores and a nice campfire to roast the marshmallows. So once all my scene is drawn in with my pencil, then I go over it with my illustration pens. These are also from Faber-Castell pens. They have Indie ink, so once they're on there and dry, then they're permanent. So I can go over the top of them with wet media, which I plan to do. So I'm using a couple different nib sizes of my pens. Nothing real dramatic, but I've got a small and a medium, I think, just to, you know, change up the sizes of the lines. But the illustration's so tiny because a artist trading card is 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches that I really don't add a lot of drama by using bigger, fatter lines or anything like that. I think I use it extra small on the little camp chair, folding camp chair. So then I have my Sakura Koi watercolor travel set and a water tank brush from Arteza, and I'm going to color in my entire card using various tones of watercolor. And because I have this screen zoomed in so that you can see this tiny card, you can't actually see that I am blending colors on the side. I should have scooched over a little bit and brought my palette in more so that you could see that there's a blending tray, and I'm blending some colors as I go to get some variants of color. And using different colors, like in this case, on the trees I use 3 different colors of green. This is the, I think it's 24 pans, maybe 18 or 24 pans. I will link the products in the description box below so you can find them. Nicely pigmented and convenient set of watercolors. So I'm trying to vary the colors of the trees so that you can see, you know, some trees are forward and some trees are behind. And then I also vary the color of the ground. Where I live, the dirt is red. It's actually a very warm, rusty red color because it has a lot of iron in it. And also where I camp, similar type of dirt. A lot of red sandstone around that's probably eroding and creating this red sandy dirt. So I'm trying to portray that. And then of course you got to have rocks around the outside of your campfire because you don't want it to expand and go escape from its area and go burn things. That's bad, bad, bad. So making sure that I have rocks around my campfire and some wood that I've purchased because we don't cut wood in the forest around here. We leave it. We leave everything as it is. We don't use up the resources that are there because we want to keep them for the next person. So then I'm trying to figure out how to do my mountains. I wanted them to be a different color than the foreground. And technically they should be reddish brownish, but everything was. And so I decided to make it, dark outside and have them be kind of a grayish, bluish colors off in the background. That seemed to make sense to me. Maybe I drove over to Yosemite or something to go camping. That would be about a probably 8 or 9 hour drive. So something that I've seen people doing recently, which I've never really done particularly, is to use colored pencils over the top of watercolor. And I didn't really delve into it that much here, but I did get out my Prismacolor tin of pencils. These are not water soluble pencils; they're waxy pencils from Prismacolor, and I got them for Christmas a few years ago. I haven't really used them, but I got them out the other day, and they were still sitting on the desk. So I decided to do this pencils over watercolor thing. So I'm picking pencils that are going to enhance the color of the watercolor and just, make it more vibrant. And going over the watercolor, there I have a blending stump. I'm blending that darker brown, trying to anyway. This really did a lot for the trees because I could add some darker, deep colors into the tree in the back, and also add some highlights. These pencils are pretty opaque, and so they do right over the watercolor, and you can add highlights with them as well as shadows. So I don't know, it was kind of fun. I might try to do it some more, but I need to get some use out of these pencils. Added in some grays, and there's quite a few different grays. There's warm grays and cool grays. So I gave more definition to the mountains. Two mountains were looking kind of the same color, and I was able to separate them out into two different colors. Add some more detail to the fire. And this was fun. I liked it. I had a good time. Trying to do that mid-tone there a little bit darker because there's too much separation between the hill that the tent is sitting on and the area that the campfire is. So anyway, I think this was a fun technique, and I'm probably going to try it some more. I also have some Gamsol, which is stuff that you can blend the pencils with, which I've never even tried. When I got the pencils, I got the Gamsol, and apparently it's some type of a solvent that helps you blend out the watercolor pencils. I mean, they're not watercolor pencils, they're regular pencils, to make them very blendy, so I'll have to try that. Then I added a Tim Holtz chat sticker to this one. I added one to the other one too. They're so useful for tags and ATCs, those little sayings in a little booklet of stickers. And I added just a tiny bit of white Posca, mostly to make stars in the sky. So that is the next ATC in the summer theme. That's day 21. So my next one, day 22, I wanted to do something different. Didn't want to do collage or anything, so I decided to get out some acrylic paints, just thinking about what colors do you see in all the summer stuff, like bathing suits and towels and all the cute stuff you can buy to put on your picnic table. What what colors recommend summer. And I thought that these three colors that I picked, which are a pale yellow, a bright pink, and a kind of a watercolor, a teal, light teal watercolor. Not watercolor, but color of water. Yeah, I know I'm getting confusing here. I thought that they seemed to represent summer to me. And so I put them on the card with my brayer. And then that's the 2-inch brayer. It's the one I like to use more. I use that one a lot more than my 4-inch brayer. And then I stenciled the same colors over the top and then finished up with some stenciling of white just to have almost like a sparkly look. And then using the rule of threes and kind of dividing the card into 3 pieces. The top third, I drew a sun coming up like behind, like it would be coming up from the horizon or whatever. Because believe me, in the summer, that's what we think about. Sunshine. Lots of sunshine. And so I wrote, "You are my sunshine," in my own yucky handwriting. And then now I'm going over my pencil lines with my illustration pens. This one is the largest of the bullet tips, and then I use the smaller ones on the letters. So when you write letters, you can write stick letters, and then you can take your pen and go around the outside edge of them, like just around, not touching the line, but going around the outer part of it. And when you do that, you get kind of a bubble letter. It was something that I saw someone doing in a class. Oh, the lettering lady. What the heck is her name? Joanne Sharp. That was like one of the first things she taught about how to use your own handwriting, which I resist. I resisted strenuously using my own handwriting on stuff. But that was like a way to kind of spice up your handwriting by just writing something and then going around outside of it to make a bubble letter. So that's what I did. And I varied the letters, and then the bottom is like more of like a cursive connected instead of just like capital stick letters. It was a cursive connected word. It just makes it more interesting. I actually got the idea off of Pinterest from a printable graphic that somebody had to make like maybe something to use on your wall or something. I just thought it was cute. So I drew it myself. So then I have a couple sets of Posca pins that you don't see very often. One of them is the glitter set, and the other one is I think it's what they call the naturals, but it's actually a pastel set. And so I'm using these 2 sets to color in my letters because Posca pins are an acrylic pen, and it's really easy to color over acrylic paint with an opaque color using Posca pins. So then I go back in with the illustration pins again and fix any places where I've taken the Posca pen over the black line. I don't have any extra fine Posca pens, and so coloring those in with the medium tips, I can kind of sometimes go over the lines. So I had to bring the lines back. And then 2 of these colors that I used were the right colors, but they weren't the glimmery ones, and then the other 2 were the glimmery ones. So I used a Spectrum Noir glitter pen over the top. I hope you've enjoyed this. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to go search for other people using the hashtag refreshing summertime art. Bye-bye.